Welcome back. You are watching KTN Newsdesk. Officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Unions appeared before a joint sitting of the National Assembly's Health Committee and Social Welfare to make a case for the implementation of the contentious collective bargaining agreement. The officials have accused the government of not being serious in resolving the impasse. They appeared earlier on before that particular committee, but currently appearing is Mark Bor, a former permanent secretary of the Health Ministry. Let's cross over there and listen in.
When you sign it, you carry the burden of the government into a process that was not complete, knowing that, but you signed the document, Mr. Bor.
Chair. And Mr. Bor, you know you've made a statement there that you signed this document because the government had not constituted, or we say the PS and the CS. Yet at the same time, you are telling us that the time you were signing this document, already there was a PS, a principal secretary, and a CS, which means the office had already been constituted. And you are signing when already we had substantive officers holding those positions.
Chair.
Let us have the authority. If there was,
that is the authority you want to know. No, there could have been maybe an authority from the executive. We want to know. We want to know.
That's the authority we want. A normal story is what we just want is the authority. Just that, and then we release you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just worried about what is emerging on this. In a document that the ministry wanted executed. This is a document which captured what had been agreed and what had not been agreed.
You were not the PS that time. Who gave you the authority to sign the document? Well, that's what you want to see.
And what is the practice?
And to see the authenticity. How you could have signed purporting to be a PS, public health and sanitation.
Chair, let me explain this.
The problem is that what is happening with the board is going round and round.
Chair,
we are avoiding actually to answer the question which has been asked as a very straightforward question.
Chair, this is what I'm saying. Just a quick, Mr. Bor, we are not being asked about, listen, the issues which are bedeviling the doctors are real. That's the first thing. So, but the issues that have taken a legal tangent are as a resultant of your signature. So we are separating the two issues. The issues confronting the doctors are real. They ought to be addressed yesterday because they are pertinent to this country. But what is important is the starting point. Because if you read the petition which is before us, there's a biggest question which is of utmost good faith. And this is what we're trying to establish. At what point did the breakdown of utmost good faith take place? That is what takes us forward in trying to arbitrate these issues between the union and the government. So it's very important that the resultant answers that you're going to give are going to shed light into that. Thank you.
Chair.
But I think this is something that is straightforward. I want Mr. Boyd to confront that question.
Yes.
And not to take us about the stories that happened behind and what. The issue is here. You deal with this part, and then we release you.
Mr. Chairman, the only way to deal with this part, in good faith and very honestly, this document was meant to be a template for finalization of a document that would be signed by the Ministry of Health. So it is just a fact that we were only owning what we had negotiated and what had been agreed up to that point. But this was a document in progress. It was a document being finalized.
Do you have records of that? Do you have records of that?
Members, let us be orderly because you know if you look at what is written here, it is a collective bargaining agreement between the Ministry of Health, Republic of Kenya, and Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists, and Dentists Union. It is a collective bargaining agreement. There is no way it is written. It is a provisional document.
Chairman, have you taken away my word?
Can I ask?
I've taken your mouth. So it is a document that actually does not talk of it being provisional or transitional.
Honorable Chairman.
Chair, if I may ask. Yes.
Now
Chair.
I'm going to give a chance to my vice chair.
Chair, when you look at this is the point of contention, and this is the reason why the doctors are on strike. And Magbor signed this document knowing very well that he was signing a document which he did not have the powers to do so. Chair, Magbor introduced himself as the chairman of the Board of Management of Kenyatta National Hospital, which is a premier hospital. Can you imagine a situation where he is managing a huge hospital like that, and with this kind of doubts that he's raised here? This raises on issues of integrity, Chapter 6 of our Constitution. And I think it needs what the Honorable Member for Aldai, Serem, said about him taking, being sworn in to give evidence, because this is somebody who should even be sued. He's not fit to hold any public office. I think this is a very serious matter, Chair, that we should take with it the seriousness with which this House.
I want you to continue ventilating. There's something I'm still looking at in the standing orders.
Chair, I think the most it's the authority. We just need the authority
Can
and
you
the
please
minutes.
tell us where you got the authority
Yes.
to sign this document from? I think that will help these committees.
Honorable Chair, in office situations, as I was in the Ministry of Health, there was a cabinet secretary already appointed, and there were issues that had to be handed over by myself, which were pending there, and this included the issue of the human resource and the contentious issues that were bedeviling the ministry. And the cabinet secretary asked me, Mr. Vor, don't go away without resolving this doctor's issue. Get us to a point where we can move. Yes. So as I was doing this, we were doing a document which would facilitate the preparation of another document following agreement. This was not the final document. And even though the doctors would not have signed it, because what is contained in that document is against the doctors. It was not giving any shilling in terms of salary or allowance. The doctors would not have accepted.
Okay.
It would not. It doesn't favor.
Well, I think we have a problem here, honorable members, and let's hear the Honorable Serut, and we hear Dr. Nikal. You need to give
Chair.
more water, please. Our secretariat, can
Chair.
you please give more water to Mr. Bor?
Chair, I want Mr. Mark Bor to look at me. I think he is busy discussing with the chairman, Council. Chair, I am addressing this question. This question is I'm addressing it to Mr. Bor through you, Chair. Chair, my first question is that he says the document he signed is not this one. The document he signed is a document in progress and not a CPA. That's what he says. Just hold on, members. Why don't you allow me to follow up my question? If you did sign a different document from this one, can we then get the one you signed and declare this one a forgery? That is my first question. Two, if this document you signed was not a CPA, but it was a document similar to this one, do you hold a copy of authority? Because you have said you signed while not in office. Your services had been terminated. Do you have written authority that this particular document be signed by you? Because that is what is required. You are no longer an officer in that office, but you went ahead to sign. Thank you.
And Chair, when he states that this document does not contain anything to do with the salaries, when you look at on page 13, Article 4, it talks about remuneration. It talks about the basic salary. It talks of the allowances which have been put there, and it talks of increments on the court of based on the court of regulations. What is that?
You can allow me, Chair, I'll answer.
Yes, please.
Honorable members, we are still going to content. We are still going to content. Yes, and we have a fundamental issue here that we're asking whether you had authority to sign this document. You've also told this committee that this is not the document that you signed.
That is the document that I signed. This is the one. Okay. But it was to facilitate activity within the Ministry of Health to register it, sign another one, and register it. That was the understanding. And
Chair, I think.
Let me also ask. I want to ask you another question, Mr. Sir. Let me ask you another question. Are you aware that there was a principal secretary in the Ministry of Health when you signed this document? It's just yes or no answer.
Honorable Chair, I was aware, and it was with the authority that I went ahead to sign this thing.
Okay. You knew that there was a principal secretary, Professor Sigor.
I knew there was Professor Sigor, and he had actually seen these problems, and he wanted me to own some of those issues that had been agreed when I was superintending or under my watch.
Okay.
But then that was only to,
let me ask you,
but that was only to facilitate.
I'm asking you this,
yes.
Because this document seems to be illegal. Well, look here. We have a problem here, honorable members. We have been told by the doctors that there will be no discussion outside the CBA. I mean, that puts this petition we are put in a difficult situation here. Two, on the 27th of June 2013, there is no Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation. We have a Ministry of Health. We have a Ministry of Health with one Professor Sigor as the principal secretary, and the CS Macharia. Mr. Bor signs a CBA on behalf of the ministry as a permanent secretary. And you know that the word permanent secretary does not exist. This ministry doesn't exist. We have the Ministry of Health. We would like you now to tell this committee whether it was in order for you to sign this document.
Honorable Chair, that document was never intended to be registered the way.
Chair, we cannot deal. Chair, this point has to come across very clearly. You know, we are dealing with the first prayer by the petitioners, which is of utmost good faith. We cannot negate this particular issue. So what is emerging in the way it has been explained is that either the ministry under the stewardship of Mr. Macharia and Sigor were duping the doctors into believing that there was actually a bona fide CBA being signed. You know, that has to be very clear. That these were only, so they set forth Mr. Bor to go and articulate their signature on something which did not exist in the first place. And they were simply hiding over technicalities in the hope that this thing is going to be sent away. I think the witness ought to be stood down and be able to interrogate the principal secretary at the time, Professor Sigor, and also the CS Macharia, to be able to establish to what level were they engaged to this particular breakdown in utmost good faith in engaging the union doctors. Chair, we need to be able to move that.
Members, what is emerging actually, you are asking the same questions.
It's not a question, Chairman.
And Mr. Bor is actually evading answering questions, which are so direct.
Chairman.
It's a very simple thing. You sign this document as the permanent secretary, Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation, which at that particular time did not exist. Now, you were not the PS. And even if you say that this document that was signed was meant to be a provisional document, where is that evidence? Where is that evidence that it was meant to be provisional when the document itself is actually a final document?
Also,
Chairman,
I want to make a ruling.
yes. Before
I just want to make a ruling.
Chairman, before the ruling. Chairman, before you rule, I have a Chairman, before you make a ruling. In June of 2013, there was a rumor that there's one PS who refused to leave office. There was a rumor. Two,
Chairman. Rumors.
Yes.
No, it's in the house.
Okay.
I want you to withdraw that word rumor.
You can confirm, Chairman. In 2013,
Let's say there was talk.
there was. It's in public domain that there was a PS that refused to leave office. Wait, let me proceed. Chairman, we want to be told how many contracts that you signed when you had left office. We'll now move beyond this because, Chairman, this is a very serious problem. How long were you in office? Were you paid when you were in office? By the time you signed the same document, were you earning any salary? If you are given a contract by the PS, do you have any documents to prove the same, Mr. Bor? Number three, Chairman, can we know who is Mr. Bor? Who are you? Tell us now, who are you? We could be, you know why I'm saying this, Chairman? In my county, we receive a doctor, a fake doctor. We could be actually dealing now with a fake PS, so that we don't have to be in a problem that we were in my county. Can we know who is Mr. Bor?
Mr. Bor, now we want to finalize this. We want to finalize this because I want to make a ruling, and maybe because Dr. Nyikal was the PS before.
Yes,
Mr. Bor, let's give him that last opportunity to make a ruling.
Chair, let me make a statement. This country is messing itself because it does not follow processes. And procedures. The same thing with devolution. The lawyer there just told us we didn't follow the Transition to Devolve Government Act. We are still suffering from that. What I asked, what was the transition arrangement? We would have expected that my colleague, actually I handed over to you, so I would have expected that he would hand over. But even when you hand over, there may be an arrangement that you have handed over, but this thing, we want you to complete it. At that time, the PS and the CS in question take the responsibility because they have assigned the work. Therefore, we cannot have a situation where he was working there, and now we want to make it look like this matter ended. It's a dead end. It is a stillborn because the person who did it didn't do it legally. No, the people who asked him, and he has said repeatedly, the CS knew, and the principal secretary knew. So now, let's say. So what we really want to establish, as he was working on this thing, did those two people know? And was he in an office sitting there? And would the PS and the CS say they are not aware that the former PS is still sitting here and they are not raising an issue as to what he's doing? That would be tantamount to hoodwinking the profession. So I think we'll need to know, but even after we have agreed that PS acted improperly, that does not kill the document. Because there are people he was acting under in that ministry who then take responsibility. The Honorable Ngwe here knows it was a PS. When you hand over, and there's a time you'll say, okay, you're handing over, but this particular issue, we want you to carry it through to its end and give us a report. And so we Well, even if it is, but I'm saying.
I think Honorable Nyikal.
No, but let me end my point. Let me end my point. We asked Bor the same questions. Was he acting with the knowledge of the two PSS? Delegated. With delegation. And we want to know that.
Nyikal, that question has been asked repeatedly to Mr. Bor, and he has avoided answering it. And even if it happened the way you are explaining, if he had been given the task to complete, he still didn't have authority to sign. Yes. He can be given that he need to complete it and give it now to the bona fide PS to sign, not him signing. It cannot work like that. So I want to make a ruling. And in my ruling, I'm finding Mr. Bor to be a hostile witness, because actually he refused to respond to the questions that we've asked him. And because of that, we'll ask him to leave, because you've taken so much of our time and actually answered nothing. You are taking us round and round, and we are going to look for recourse on how to deal with you. Yeah, because you've taken a lot of our time and said nothing here. So please, may you leave.
Mr. Chair, if you could allow me to say something. Yes, sir.
No.
All right. Thank you.
No. I've already given the orders that he leaves so that we deal with the Council of Governors. Because the governors were supposed to be here by noon. It's now 2 o'clock, and you know the House resumes at 2:30. And we are supposed to be in the House at 2:30. So we only have 35 minutes.
Chair,
with the governors.
Chair, with your guidance.
Wait until let okay. Mr. Bor leave.
Walk out. No, I agree with the ruling. I just want to how we proceed. Chair, as he walks out, I would want to ask your guidance. You know, the primal basis of us being here, of the petition, was a document CBA. So even before proceeding and listening to the Council of Governors, I think it is important for us to be able to clarify to what extent was the CS at the time and the PS at the time aware of this document. Yes. Prior to continuing, I think, with the Council of Governors. I think that will make a lot more informed progress as we move on. Chair, I seek your guidance on that.
Well,
The Senate Health and Welfare Committee, they're trying to get to the bottom of the issue with the doctors, the government and the county government. Remember, the doctors' strike is now about 80 days and there's still no deal in sight. Currently, they were speaking or grilling former Health Principal Secretary Mark Bor on the signing of the collective bargaining agreement, which the government has time and again labeled as illegal. But doctors have pegged their hopes in this particular agreement, which was signed in 2013, and they are insisting on its implementation before they go back to work, or a formula in which this particular agreement will be signed or implemented. But of course, Mark Bor has told that particular committee that yes, he did sign a CBA document, but it was not in finality. It was a document in progress that would give birth to another document. So in essence, he signed a document in progress, and members of parliament were trying to get to the bottom of it on why things happened the way they did. They're also expected to speak to Council of Governors. We can see Governor Peter Munya also in sight, so they will be among the next group to be grilled by the Senate Health and Social Welfare Committee as they try to get to the bottom of the issue. Remember, the LSK and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission are the team that is the team that is mediating the talks between the government and the doctors' union officials for them to go back to work. They are expected to report back to the court on Friday and file the report they will have. Currently, there's a break. Both parties have been given a break to just go back to their people and discuss how this is going to pan out. So there's a lot of things that are surrounding this particular doctor strike, but here on KTN News, we continue keeping tabs on the talks between the government and the doctors' union officials. We are also taking a look at what is happening at the Senate. The legislators there making any headway in their grilling sessions. And of course, we will definitely be bringing you more information on that. We wrap it up on that note. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN Newsdesk. Up next, let's take a look at the top stories of the hour on Newstruck. Before we pave way for business today, our sign language interpreter has been William Silla, and I am Akisa Wandera. A very good